Okay, good morning all. Today we will start the concept called data flow testing. So in previous classes, we have discussed about the transaction flow testing. In that we have discussed what is meant by a transaction, how a transaction can be represented, how the transaction flow is represented, what are the implementation process in transaction flow, and how what are the complicators that will complicators that will arise when transactions flows are implemented, and followed by the we have seen the techniques that involves in the transaction flow. This is the first part in the unit 2, that is a transaction flow testing. The second part is called the data flow testing. So we have already seen in the syllabus, in the data flow testings, we will discuss about three topics, that is called basics of data flow testing. Next one is strategies in data flow testing. And the third one is applications of data flow testing. So about these three topics we will discuss in the second part, data flow testing. First one is basics of data flow testings. So in this basics of data flow testing, we will discuss about the basic points, how to represent data flow and how the data flow testings is involved. So first we have to know what is meant by data flow testing. In this data flow testing, before going to the testing, we need to know what is data flow, how it is represented. Then we will go how to test the data flow. Okay. So in the data flow testing, we need to know what is the data flow, how the data flow is represented, and how it is tested. Okay. So in the first part, we have told that when a transaction flow is represented, it contains different operations. A transaction contains a different operations, or a collection of, or a set of operations like that are represented from entry point to the exit point. Like that only data flow, the data flow also represented between the entry point to the exit point. Okay. Here data flow is represented. That means the connections between the flow is represented between datas. So the data flow is nothing but the flow between one processors to the another processor, one data information to the another data. So that is called the data flow. This data flow is also represented between entry to exit point. Okay. So every data which flows from one process to the another from entry to exit point is called the data flow. Okay. What is meant by data flow? Every data flow is represented between one process to the another process from So, so we'll start. So what is a data flow testing? In this, data flow is nothing but a flow between one data object to the another data object is called data flow. That data flow is done between the entry to the exit point is called the data flow. Okay. So data flow testing is done on the data flow testing. The data flow is done on the path that we are selected. So data flows testing is done on the path that you are selected, that the flow is done correctly or not. That means data flow is nothing but it is a connection between one variable to the another variable. That is nothing but a flow between one variable to the another variable. For example, A is a variable, B is a variable. It is a connect flow between A to B variable. So that means that is in the data flow testing, it will check the variable receives values and the point at which these values are used, how the values receives how the variable receives values and how these values are used. That is tested in the data flow testing. That is the basic point in the data flow testing. So data flow is nothing but the flow between one data object to the other data object. Data flow testing is nothing but the checks whether a variable receives correct value and it will transfer to the next object, next object. Correct value is transferred or not is checked in the data flow testing. Okay. So the basic idea behind this form of testing is to retrieve the code errors and mistakes. And the another point in data flow testing, it also checks the mistakes, the coding mistakes that arises in the data flows. So whatever the flow that is represented between one data to the other data, in that it also tests and reveals the coding errors and mistakes that are implemented in the programming code. Whatever the programming code that you are represented, in that it will identifies the code errors and mistakes, which may result in the improper implementation and usage of the data variables or data values in the programming code. That is the basic idea of the data flow testing. So, and all data variables, the data variables which are represented in the data flow in the data flow, what are the data variables that you are representing? It will the data in the data flow testing, it will check the data flow variables are initialized correctly or not whenever the data flow starts. So whenever the data flow starts, the data variables has to be priorly, it has to be initialized at the point only, it is in at the starting point only, it has to be initialized. Okay. All data variables present in the programming code have been initialized or not. So in the data flow testing, it also checks the data variables that what you are used in the data flow testing, that has to be initialized. That has to be initialized before the implementation is done. Okay. So data variables which are put in use. So whatever the data you have, variables that you're used in data flow, so the data variables has to be used in at any point of the programming completed. So at the end of the programming code is completed, every variable has to be used. See, data variables which are present, which are put in use, has been primarily initialized or not, and every data variable has been used at least once in the programming code. So first the data variables which are defined in the data flow testing has to be initialized. Every variable that are used in the data flow testing has to be initialized, and the variables primarily which variables you are using, that has to be initialized first, and every variable has to be initialized and at the end of the programming code. When you are reaching the programming implementation of the programming code, at the end, every variable has to be initialized and every variable has to be used at least once. That points are all checked in the data flow testing. See, what is meant by data flow? Data flow is nothing but the flow between one data object to the another data object, from entry point to the exit point. How the data has to be flowed. A to B means that flow represents the A to B. That is called data flow. In the data flow testing, it will checks which variables are you are using, that is receiving correct values or not, and using correct values the variables that you are used, they are correct or not. It will check in the data flow testing, and it also detects the coding errors and mistakes. What are the errors that are occurs or identified when you're performing data flow testing? It will be identified and it will be rectified. So, and the variables that are used in the data flow testing has to be initialized, and every variable has to be initialized when you goes for data flow testing. So these are the points that will be considered when you are doing data flow testing. Before data flow testing, you have to recognize a path and select a path. That path has to be represented in a data flow, that has to be goes for the data flow testing. So this is about the data flow testing. Okay, so the next one is data flow machines. So in the first slide, we are discussing that data flow testing has to be implemented. So it will identify the errors and will rectify the errors. These are all points are discussed in the first part called first slide called data flow testing. So these are all implemented in a machine called data flow machine. So the testing has to be done in the data flow machine. They have two types of data flow machines with different architecture. So data flow testings can be done in two different architecture formats. So two machines are available to test this data flow testing. Or data flow can be implemented in two different architecture machines. So one is von Neumann machine, another one is multi-instruction multi-data machine, MIMD. So first one is called as von Neumann machine. Second one is multi-instruction multi-data machines. So first architecture is called von Neumann machine architecture. So why we are going for two different, it has two different architectures means we have different variations in execution or testing in two different machines. Von Neumann machines execute in one way, and whereas in multi-instruction it executes in another way. Okay, instruction is executed in this one in first machine in one way, in the second machine in another way. So in the first, what is von Neumann machine architecture? What is the representation of von Neumann machine architecture? So von Neumann machine architecture is the common architecture format that are used present our every computer system. It's the basic, when you are learning a basic fundamental computer system syllabus, this architecture you will learn. Okay, this is the basic architecture that will use in von Neumann machine. I think everyone remember this type of architecture. Okay, so this is the basic architecture that is represented in von Neumann machine. So what is the way of executing of this von Neumann machine architecture? What is the difference between the MIMD and the von Neumann machine? Okay, so what is the points that are involved in von Neumann machine architecture? So von Neumann machine architecture features interchangeable storage of instruction and data in the same memory unit. So in this architecture, the data and the instructions will be stored in the same memory unit. The data does not store in another place. The instruction will not store in the other place. So these are all stored in the same memory unit. Okay. So von Neumann machine execute one instruction at a time. So in this machine, after a completion of one instruction only, it will goes to the second instruction. That is single instruction. It executes one instruction at a time. Multiple instructions cannot be executed in this architecture. So whereas in MIMD, multiple instruction, parallel type of instructions will be executed at a time. In the von Neumann machine, multiple instructions are not executed one at a time. Whereas MIMD, it will execute multiple instructions at a time. So these are the basic architecture of the von Neumann machine. So every students learn in first year this basic architecture in fundamental computer system. Okay. Okay, see this. It is a basic architecture. In this architecture, von Neumann architecture, it contains different parts, that is input devices, output devices. Everyone know what is input device, output device. Receives the input value from the input device, and output device is the output what is executed after the calculation that will be displayed in the output devices. Okay. So in this, in the input and output device, we have the the central processing unit and memory unit. So the central processing unit and memory unit have the connections. In the central processing unit, we have three parts: control unit, arithmetic logic units, registers. In memory unit, it will contains the data and instructions. In von Neumann method, data and instructions are both will store in the memory unit only. So when you're performing an instruction, for example, if you want to do some calculation like a plus b, the instruction has been taken from the memory unit and will be executed in the central processing unit. Okay, so in the von Neumann architecture, data, so the data which is which has to be calculated through A and which has to be calculated through B, A plus B. The data will be stored in memory unit, as well as the instruction, what has to be done, A plus B, has to be also stored in same memory unit. That is the main point in the von Neumann machine. So that that is received by the central processing unit. It takes the information, the data and instruction from the memory unit to the central processing unit. Here we will have the three parts: control unit, arithmetic unit, and registers. So these three parts used to do the calculation and finally sent to the output. So this is the basic architecture of the von Neumann machine. So in von Neumann machine, we are saying that here only one instruction will be executed at a time. So what is the steps that will be involved when you are executing a von Neumann machine? Okay. See, this is the basic steps that will follow in the von Neumann machine execution. So one instruction has to be executed. That means first the first step has to be executed to when an instruction to be executed means first it fetches the instruction from the memory. So I have said that data and memory both are stored in memory unit only. So whatever instruction has to be executed, that has to be fetched from which unit? Memory unit. From the memory unit only the instruction has to be fetched. So that is the first step. Fetch instruction from the memory unit. Then it goes for interpretation instruction. Interpret instruction means, so it will check which execution has to be done in this instruction. For example, we are doing A plus B. Okay, A has to be the value of the A has to be first, and it has to be added to the B operand. Okay, that interpretation will be done in the interpret instruction. Next one, after interpretation, it will fetch operands. So what are the operands that involved in the instruction? That will be fetched from the that will be done in the third point, fetch operand. First one is fetch instruction from the memory. Next, then interpret the instruction. Next, fetch operands. And the fourth point is that after fetching the instruction, interpreting in the instruction, and we are taking the operand values, then we will go for processing of execution. So if you are doing an arithmetic operation, it will perform the arithmetic operation, or you are going for logical operation, then it goes for logical operation. These are all operations are done in arithmetic and logical unit. In arithmetic and logical unit, it will perform the process of execution and stores the value. Values will be stored in a variable. Then if you are doing any increment process, next increment has to be done, next has to be executed means, then we will go for increment of the program counter. After that, then process again. When you are doing the increment process, then again the first step will be started of execution. After one instruction completed only, the next instruction will be started. At a time, multiple instructions cannot be executed in this architecture. That is called von Neumann machine architecture. Okay, so this see this example. Here we are taken an example called E equal to C into D. This has to be executed. So this has to be executed in a single way of execution. That is called, one instruction has to be executed, then the next instruction will be start. First, see this E equal to C into D has to be executed. C will contain some operation called A plus B, and D will have an instruction called A minus B, and again C will have A plus B. A is again represented by another instruction called M plus N, followed by the last final evaluation process is last final fetching process is called E equal to M plus N plus P plus Q into M plus N minus P. This has to be executed. First we'll start from E equal to C into D and fetches the instruction. Next it will after fetching the instruction, it will interpret the process, then interprets the operands of the C. Is there any operand? Then we'll go for A minus B, then we'll substitute here, and then it goes to the B. This will be done repeatedly until this E equal to M plus N plus this instruction has to be completed. After the instruction is executed, the final result will be sent to the output, saving that value in a value in a variable called E. This is the simple way of execution in the von Neumann model. Okay, parallel execution cannot be done. So that is called von Neumann machine. Okay. Okay. So this is about von Neumann machine. The next one is MIMD architecture. So in von Neumann machine, what we have said, only one instruction has to be executed at a time. When coming to the MIMD architecture, that is called multi-instruction, multi-data machine. So in the name itself, it is a multi. So it takes multi-instruction, multi-data machine. So at a time, it will be executed, multi-instructions will be executed. Okay, so these machines can fetch several instructions and objects parallelly. So in von Neumann machine, see here, E equal to C into D means first C will be completed. After the completion, then we'll go for D. Or C, after the C, we will go for A plus B. In that, after A, then it will go for D. So step-by-step process will be done. After one instruction is completed, then next instruction will start interpreting. So, but in coming to the MIMD architecture, parallelly it will retrieve, or parallelly it will fetch the instruction C into D at a time, and it will be executed. That is called the multi-data machines or multi-instructions. So these machines can fetch several instructions and objects in parallel. So, and do arithmetic and logical operations simultaneously on different objects. Parallelly, it can do operations on different data object. That is called multi-instruction. So decisions how to sequence them depends on the computer. So these which has to be executed when the parallel data objects are executing parallelly means compiler is the responsibility to execute the instructions or interpret the instruction. These are all that has to be done sequentially. When doing simultaneously, that result has to be performed correctly based upon the compiler only in the multi-instruction, multi-data machine. This is about the multi-instruction and multi-data machines. The difference between von Neumann architecture, the difference between MIMD architecture means in von Neumann architecture, single instructions will be executed, and after completion of one instruction, second instruction will start interpreting. Fetching or interpreting process will be start. When in multi-instruction, parallelly, n number of data objects will be executed parallelly. So the responsibility of execution all parallelly is done by the compiler. That is called MIMD. So next one is data flow graph. So here in the previous topics, we have seen what is data flow, how the data flow is testing, how to represent the data flow graph. How the graph has to be represented. So in the data flow graph, obviously it will consist nodes and links having arrow marks as the connections. Okay, data flow graph consists of nodes and links having arrows. So these links are known as directed links. It directly connects from one data to the another data through the links. Okay, the data flow graph consists of nodes and links having arrows. These links are known as directed links. Okay, the data flow is between the data objects in the data flow graph. So we are saying that it contains the nodes, and the node that the nodes connected through the links. So what are the nodes that will represent in the data flow graph means they are the data objects which you are using. The data objects which you are using is the nodes that are taken in the data flow graph. The data flow graph is between the data objects in the data flow graph. So the connections will be done between the datas. Okay. The data flow graph only shows the flow of data, but also shows the deviations between the data objects to be implemented. When you are representing the data flow graph, after completion of representation of the data flow graph, we can understand that it is the, by seeing the data flow graph, we can understand that is the, how the flow is done between one data object to the another data object. It shows the flow of data. So from which data the flow will goes to the which data, and from that the data has to be from which flow that will be continuous. The flow will be represented in the data flow graph, and the deviations between the objects according to the flow only the implementation is also done. How the objects are implemented is also represented by seeing the data flow graph. Okay, so the data flow graph is nothing but the flow. It will represents the graph represents between the flow between data objects, that is called the data flow graph. The flow is done, that flow is linked between two data objects by through a link, that is called directed link, that is called data flow graph. So next one is data object states and usage. So what are the data object states and usage? What are the different object states are used in the data objects and how they are used? Okay, data objects have three states. The data objects can be resides in three states. So one is created state, killed state, and used state. The data object can be created, the data flow object can be killed, the data object can be used. These are the three states that data object can be resides. One is created, one is killed, and one is used. These are the three states that data objects can be resides. What is a data object can be created? Created is nothing but we creating a data object. So when you are doing when an instruction called a equal to b plus c, so the a is called the A represents that the left side assignment operator represents that data object is created. Here A is data object, B is data object, C is data object, but A is an object. We can decide that it is created. So data object can be created. A data object that is appeared on the left side of the assignment operator, that object is decided that it is in created state. Okay, killed state, obviously killed state is nothing but we are killing that data object, that is not used no more. After killing, that object cannot be used further. Okay, they can be killed. An object is killed when it is no longer available, so that object is not useful for the next steps, next flow. If the object is not used, or it is not necessary to use that object in the next flow, then we can go for that we can go to the we can decide that object to kill. So that type of state is called the data object state. Okay, an object is killed when it is no longer available. Or there is another point, another point is when after loop is completed, after, for example, we are doing a loop for 3 times. For 3 times we will use an object, data object, to store that increment operation. After the 3 times is completed, that the object, data object that you are used, that will be automatically go to the kill state. These are the two ways you can kill the data object. One is if you're not if the data object is not necessary for further use, you can kill the data object, or the data object goes to the kill state. If you are not using the data object for a long time, the data object will goes for kill state, go to the kill state. Or after completion of the loop, the data object will go to the kill state. Okay, so an object is killed when it is no longer available, or the loop control finishes and exits out from the loop. When these two conditions are approaches, then the data object will goes to the kill state. What is the use state? Use state is nothing but the object is going to be used. They can be, data objects can also be created, data object can also be killed, data objects can also be used. Data object is appeared on right side of the assignment operator. So here when A equal to B plus C, this example is taken here. Left side operator, left side data object is considered as created. B plus C is called the used data object. These two objects are used. Okay. So data object that is appeared on right side of the assignment operator. So when when the data object in use state, that means the data object is performing some operation that is called use state. Read and write operations are performed when the data object in use state, or expression used evaluate that statement. So or it is represented in the form of expression to evaluate that state. Okay, they are called the that objects are called the data object used. Okay, so the data objects can be resides in three states. One is created state, one is killed state, one is used state. Okay, so the data objects can also be in two different ways. So these data objects can also be used in different ways. One is calculation purpose, one is control flow graph purpose. The data object can be used in the calculation part, or the data objects can be used in control flow graph. Okay.